Today is the day we
worship the representative of Srila Vyasadeva.
Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. And it's a special day for everyone in ISKCON, although everyone may have a
different initiating spiritual master, alak. Right? There's still only one founder Acharya. Srila Prabhupada's position in ISKCON is very, very unique. It's not that he's one of the gurus among many gurus, but he's the Sangsthapak Acharya. So we have a relationship with our initiating spiritual master. That's very good. That's important. Tadviri pranipatena pribrashnena sevaya. That's important. But simultaneously, we all have this unique, loving, important relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And so I had a list of some of the achievements that Srila Prabhupada has done in a very short time, which qualifies him as the Acharya. Now, Acharya has two meanings. One meaning of Acharya is one who teaches by example, and certainly Srila Prabhupada taught by example. I'll tell a little story. As you all know, Srila Prabhupada single-handedly started this movement. 26 Second Avenue. He was inviting people to come and hear the lecture. Right? And after the lecture, he would distribute prasadam. So what does that mean? That means that in New York City, Srila Prabhupada went out and bought the sabji, bought the rice, bought the dal, brought it back, cut the sabji, made the chapatis, made the chutney, made the sweet rice, came down from his small little kitchen, gave the lecture, led the kirtan, had everyone sit down and distributed the prasadam, made sure everybody got enough prasadam, encouraged them, take more, and then after prasadam, everybody left. And Srila Prabhupada cleaned all the pots. Single-handedly. So one day, one of the boys was watching Srila Prabhupada cook. His name was Chuck. Right? So Chuck said to Srila Prabhupada as he was watching him cook, "Can I help you?" And Srila Prabhupada turned to Chuck and said, "Oh yes, I was waiting for somebody to say that." So Chuck learned how to cook, but later on he became a Chutananda. So one day Srila Prabhupada called all the devotees to his apartment. In those days all the devotees meant maybe 9 or 10. So he said, okay, Chuck is doing the cooking, but he should also not have to wash the pots. Because if the cook has to also wash the pots, then he'll be thinking how to use less pots. And he'll be thinking less how to cook nicely for Krishna. So we don't want to have Chuck wash the pots. Okay? So I want some volunteers now to cook on different days of the week. So one devotee raised their hand for Monday. Another devotee raised his hand for Tuesday. And then nobody raised their hand. Srila Prabhupada looked around and he raised his hand for Wednesday. Then immediately after seeing that, the devotees raised their hand. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is a leader by example. Not do as I say, but do as I do. Srila Prabhupada said, just do as I am doing. But he set such a high standard. You know, the bar is so high. It's very difficult. And just to give us an idea, I have this list. I'd like to share with you about some of the things that Srila Prabhupada accomplished. And the amazing thing is that he did it in such a short time. In 1965, at the age of 70, he left India. 70, everybody's thinking retire. Right? Go to Vrindavan, get your little kuti together, and chant kutir, right? Bhajan kutir chant. Prabhupada had a bhajan kutir, and Sri Sri Radharamanar temple. Right? And the rent was very cheap, only 5 rupees a month. But he left it, and he got on a ship, and on the ship he had 2 heart attacks. Why? Because the order of his Guru Maharaj spread the Krishna consciousness movement to the English-speaking people. So specifically, Srila Prabhupada left such a nice situation in Vrindavan. He said later, there was no need. I was very happy in Vrindavan.
There was no need to go to America, but for preaching. And just imagine, he had 2 heart attacks on the trip. So that's enough for anybody to go back to India immediately. But he didn't do that. He stayed and he struggled for 1 year. Not much result the first year. And sometimes he had to share an apartment with a crazy hippie who was taking drugs. And in the middle of the night, Srila Prabhupada had to run from that apartment because that young person had gone crazy. And then he was in the street. So all of these things Srila Prabhupada did for preaching. He founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And that's the first time in history that a Krishna devotee trained Westerners or non-devotees to become devotees of Krishna. Never happened. First time. And not just so-called devotees, but means 4 regulator principles. No meat, no fish, no eggs, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex life. It's unheard of. How did he do it? In the West, this is the way of life. And then he sent his disciples out to the street to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the parks, the Thompson Square Park in New York. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had sent during his manifest pastimes some sannyasi to London to preach the Krishna consciousness movement. At a great expense, he was paying his rent and all his expenses, but he couldn't do much. He came back. He came back from London. Not successful. But Srila Prabhupada sent his 3 householders to London, and they made a Hare Krishna explosion. They preached to the Beatles The Beatles were kind of like the gurus of the hippies, the hippie gurus. So he convinced
the gurus of the hippies to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And they made a record album, and the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra became famous all over London and all over Europe. So what the sannyasi could not do, Srila Prabhupada's hippie disciple Grihastas, they did in a very big way. So there's no limitation. Sannyasi, Grihasta, this is external. Just like Ishwar was talking about the substance and the form. That's just the external form. It's the substance. Those devotees that went to London had a desire to do something
to please Srila Prabhupada that was so intense. That desire to please Srila Prabhupada was so intense that Krishna opened the door for them to do it. Srila Prabhupada initiated about 5,000 devotees, and from everywhere, from all walks of life, from all different kinds of religions. You know, some organizations are very good at making temples, and we're becoming good at it too. But some are better than us. The Swami Narayans have temples everywhere, big temples. But if you look in and there's only Patels. Motel Patels, that's how. But you look in the ISKCON Center, you have Jews, you have Muslims, you have Catholics, you have Protestants, you have Mormons, you have Amish, you have religions from all over the world, all working together with one goal in mind. Follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and somehow or another please Krishna. Pleasing Krishna, the common denominator that caused all different nationalities, all different races to work together, to rise above all the differences, having one common denominator, Krishna. Understanding that we're not this body. In the United States, almost about 150 years ago, there was a civil war. The North against the South. The South had slaves. The Southern plantation owners felt that black people were their property. They were not human beings. And millions of people died in that war. And even after that war, still the persecution of people simply because of the color of their skin went on for 100 years. It wasn't until 1965 that laws came into effect that black people should have the right to vote, even 100 years after the Civil War. This bodily concept of life is so ingrained in some persons in America. And not just in the South, everywhere. But here we see that Srila Prabhupada, due to his preaching, due to showing people that we're not this body, he got all different kinds of people to work together. All nationalities, all races, feeling one, feeling brotherly affection towards one another on the basis that they have a common Father, Lord Shri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada established 108 centers on 6 different continents. In each center he installed the deities of Krishna, and he trained his disciples in the deity worship process. And between 1970 and 1971 alone, that's just 1 year, Srila Prabhupada opened up 32 temples. Every month, 3 temples were opened. between 1970 and 1971. Srila Prabhupada inaugurated the first Jagannath Rath Yatra festival in San Francisco. And since then, now Jagannath Rath Yatra is celebrated in all the major cities of the world. Srila Prabhupada instituted the Brahmachari Ashram in America. There's no Brahmachari Ashram in India. What to speak of Brahmachari Ashram in America? And he showed what it means to be Grihastha by his own example. Srila Prabhupada had whatever money, whatever meager amount he had as a householder, he maintained his family, and the balance he used for preaching Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada told the householders, you give 50%. You want to marry? Okay. You want to work outside? Okay, no problem, but give 50% to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada showed the standard. Srila Prabhupada in 1967, he told the devotees to start a business, an incense business. Everything can be used in the service of Krishna, even business. So they made an incense business. And within a few short years, the income from that Agarbatti business, spiritual sky incense, was over $1 million. And they had a computer. They were one of the first businesses to use a computer. They were keeping inventory of their stock. It said 1967. And they also showed programmed the computer to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Srila Prabhupada, as I described, instituted the Sunday Love Feast, which is still going on in all of our ISKCON centers around the world. So much prasadam was distributed. There's a famous person, Steve Jobs, or Jobs, however you want to pronounce it. Apple Computers, Steve Jobs, big guy. He said at one time he was so poor that he used to walk all the way across San Francisco to go to the Hare Krishna temple just to get at least one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna Sunday Love Feast. So many people have taken prasadam in Srila Prabhupada's temples due to the Sunday Love Feast. And Srila Prabhupada established the first vegetarian chain of restaurants called Govindas. People gradually became vegetarian by the preaching and the ability to go to a vegetarian restaurant that Srila Prabhupada started. Srila Prabhupada spoke daily on Krishna consciousness. He'd give the morning Bhagavad Gita class. In the evening he would give class in Bhagavad Gita, and these are recorded. Srila Prabhupada has over 2,500 recordings of his lectures. And besides his classes, Srila Prabhupada was continuously meeting with big persons, philosophers, politicians, priests, nuns, newspaper reporters, TV anchors. So many people were daily coming to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada was explaining to them the faultless conclusions of the Vedic literatures. And these are also recorded. And Srila Prabhupada recorded over 20 albums of devotional music. From 1944, Srila Prabhupada continuously published the Back to Godhead magazine, and he called this magazine the backbone of his movement. And during the 1970s, there were over 1 million copies that were sold of Back to Godhead magazine. Srila Prabhupada built this temple here in Bombay. Srila Prabhupada built the temple that is in Vrindavan. He also built the temple that's in Hyderabad. And he planned for a spiritual city in Mayapur, which we see now is gradually taking its shape. Srila Prabhupada established the Gurukul system in Vrindavan and in Mayapur. He also founded the Bhaktivedanta Institute to preach to the scientific community and engaging various academic persons in consideration of the science of self-realization. Srila Prabhupada was concerned that the Shripats of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those places that are associated with Mahaprabhu, should not be lost. So he founded the Bhakti Vedanta Charity Trust, specifically to reveal and maintain those places that are in connection with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes and his devotees. He established farm communities like New Vrindavan, Gita Nagari. He established farm communities, self-sufficient farm communities, where persons could learn how to live simply. Simple living and high thinking was his philosophy. So that people would have time for practicing Krishna consciousness. If you live in the city and you work in the city, there's no time for anything. Up in the morning, one chai, do slice, out the door. Back at the night, 9:30, 10 o'clock. What is their life? Where is their time to understand the philosophy of Krishna? But if you live on the farm, simple life. 2-3 hours in the field and you're done. And then you can read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, fresh air, fresh milk, fresh subject. In Bombay, what's fresh? The air's not fresh, the water's not fresh. The milk, they put tuna in the milk, nothing fresh. So how can the mind be fresh? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted to train people, show people how they could live on the farm and live simply. Srila Prabhupada commissioned his artists to produce hundreds of illustrations of Krishna's pastimes by his own instructions. Every painting that was in the original Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada personally taught the artist how to do it. And once the BBT manager decided that he would put all new paintings and take out the old ones. When Srila Prabhupada saw that printed, he said, "Where are the old paintings?" "No, Srila Prabhupada." "Why you changed it?" "No, we thought there was better." "What do you know?" "These paintings are windows to the spiritual world. Never take out the old paintings. You can add new ones, but don't change the old ones." Srila Prabhupada directed his followers to learn the art of making dolls, dioramas. And Srila Prabhupada started the first Fate exhibit in Los Angeles. And later on, other exhibits were also formed, using the art of doll making to explain the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and the pastimes of the Lord. And all the while that Srila Prabhupada was traveling and preaching, he was counseling the devotees how to manage ISKCON right up to the end. I remember I was there. Srila Prabhupada called Girat Swami, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. At that time, Girat Swami was a brahmachari. And he was explaining very minute details about his will and about how the society should go on after him. And he couldn't even get up from the bed. They had to help him up. But even in such a condition, he was very, very careful to instruct the devotees how to manage things. And we're also very fortunate that some devotees had the good intelligence to take photographs of Srila Prabhupada. So we have over 30,000 photographs in the archives of Srila Prabhupada in his various preaching activities. And most important is that Srila Prabhupada gave up all considerations for his own health, his own comforts. He took rest at 9 o'clock. He got up just 3 hours later at 12 and started translating his books. Late in the night, when everyone else was fast asleep, Srila Prabhupada was wide awake translating. Why? So that we could have the advantage of his transcendental literatures. And these books are not ordinary. They're in college libraries around the world. They're appreciated by scholars in so many different fields, not just Sanskrit, but philosophy, sociology, economics. Srila Prabhupada's books cover all the different spheres of education with the Vedic perspective. It's like an encyclopedia. And the fact that he did all these 70 volumes of books in English, that's not his mother tongue. His mother tongue is Bengali. But he wrote all these books in English. No one does like that. Such technical understandings and philosophical treaties, it's unbelievable that he could do that. Srila Prabhupada formed the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust in 1972 to produce his books. By 1976, over 55 million copies of his literatures had been published and distributed in 25 languages. Today, that's up to 60 languages. And the BBT is the world's largest publisher of religious books. At one time, they printed so many copies of Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is back in the 70s. It required 76 train cars to ship the paper needed to print it. He ordered and supervised the BBT in publishing 17 volumes of his books in only 2 months' time. Do we have time for that story? No. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada, I got the okay from our Vice President. Srila Prabhupada was translating Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he finished 17 volumes. Right here in Bombay, he completed it. Right? But they only printed 1 volume. So he was on the morning walk in Los Angeles, and he was saying, why you're not keeping pace with me? I'm finished. So the BBT manager said he calculated with his production manager. The production manager's name was Radha Vallabha. They were on Venice Beach, they were walking, and Rameshwar, who was the manager, they fell back from Prabhupada's party and they began to talk. What can we do? How can we? So they caught back up to Prabhupada walking, and they said, Srila Prabhupada will have the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita printed in 2 years. Prabhupada said, that's not good enough. You have to do it faster. So they went back again, they fell back behind the party, Rameshwar and Radha Vallabha, and they calculated. They came back to Srila Prabhupada, and they said, Srila Prabhupada, we calculate we can do 3 books every 2 months. And Srila Prabhupada said, you should do 17 volumes in 2 months. And Rameshwar said, but Prabhupada, that's impossible. And Prabhupada took his cane and dug it in the sand. And he looked straight in the eyes of Rameshwar. And he said, impossible. That's the word in the Fool's Dictionary. And then everybody was looking at Rameshwar. So he kept quiet. He said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, somehow we'll do it. Not really knowing how he was going to do it. So they called all the press devotees from New York. They all situated themselves in Los Angeles, and they worked night and day, literally, shifts. One artist was doing a painting. If it wasn't finished, he fell asleep. Another artist came and started finishing the painting. Typesetting, proofreading, 17 volumes, and they did it. They offered it to Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles in just 2 months' time. So they realized they had no power to do that. It was impossible, according to them. But the impossible became possible. Why? Because of the dedication to Srila Prabhupada. There's nothing impossible for Krishna. And there's nothing impossible for Krishna's devotees. And there's nothing impossible for those devotees that have a sincere desire to serve Krishna's devotee. This is the key, this is the secret. And Srila Prabhupada, he managed the whole of ISKCON. There was no internet. Nowadays we have a problem, we get on the internet, our mail goes, complaint, GBC, XYZ, ABC. Right? There was no internet. Srila Prabhupada never even used the telephone. Only by letter. Wrote a letter. Nowadays you write somebody a letter, you'll never get a reply. But Srila Prabhupada said, a gentleman must answer his correspondence. So Srila Prabhupada was answering all the letters to all the questions the devotees had. And he ran the whole movement by correspondence. And due to that, we have thousands of Srila Prabhupada's letters that we can take information from how this movement should go on. So these are some of the accomplishments of our founder Acharya. You know, if someone completed one of these things in a lifetime, he would think a wonderful thing, right? If somebody wrote a book and it was successful in his lifetime, he did something. But Srila Prabhupada did all of these things in just 11 years. Can you imagine? This is why, on this day, we all take the opportunity to request Srila Prabhupada to simply keep us in some corner as a small piece of dust at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai! Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai! Jai Gaur Premanande!